It's all for the Bombers today. Lose and they won't be playing finals, win and they've got a little chance. And for the Cats, must keep winning to finish top 4 and any chance of the 2. So Jenkins immediately into the fray. Jenkins and Zach Guthrie are the 2 late ones in. And speaking of Zach, Merritt's kicks the ball forward, as he's been doing so brilliantly over the last few weeks. What a season he's compiling. Quick kick forward around the body by Stringer and McDonald, Tip and Woody on the end of it. Oh, why did you do that, Anthony? Why did you do that? Mosquito back to McDonald, Tip and Woody. Goal of the year if he kicks it, but oh no. Oh, talk about messy.
Well, just wanted to try and bring a young teammate into the game here, but oh no. It's easy to say, just go back and have the set shot. You can see what he was trying to do, understand that he's trying to help a teammate so early on. Just want him to go back and kick that goal and get his team off to the perfect start.
Frustrating for the Bombers. Dangerfield just mushes Draper out of the way. He looks towards the umpire, and the umpire says, nothing to see here. Dangerfield now looking for a tall target. Out the back is Blitzarves. He's used his body well. He's played all around the ground this year, and he's looking to open the account of the Cats.
As that ball came in high, the marking target, Blitzarves, obviously. Mark O'Connor was the other one down there. So 2 players coming from different parts of the ground. And Guelphy needed to get a hand on that one as it came up. Blitzarves just so effective in whatever role he's asked to play by the coach, wing, back, or pushing forward.
Kicked a goal against the Crows a couple of weeks ago. He's got his 2nd for the season, and the Cats are away.
We'll just have a look there with Danger's ability just to knock Draper off the line of the ball and then to kick, and plenty of space for the Geelong players and one-on-ones really, and Guelphy's got to be able to get a body or contact on the ball there, because otherwise Blitzarves takes an easy mark and converts. But nice ball used by Geelong, even though it was long and methodical. It just showed the power and the strength of a more seasoned team with 2 marking contests of the physicality of the Geelong players winning out.
Had a fine season, Blitzarves. Had a fine career, rarely misses. So Draper in there against Jenkins again, gets over the top. His backup work's impressive, Draper. He's not the done deal yet, but he's going to be something, I think. Stewart's kick out wide, good mark by Myers. Not the first time these 2 teams have played in Brisbane, by the way. 1952. At the exhibition ground. John Coleman kicked 13 that day, and the Bombers won 155-86. For all you Bomber fans out there that can remember it, it was a good day. Hawkins goes inside, gets the Menegola.
It was a good year for the Cats, though, Bruce, that one.
It turned out all right, Nicky. Here's Buse, who might give you the best start possible. Just misses. Oh, wouldn't you have liked to have been there when Coleman kicked 13 in Brisbane?
So quickly through Ridley, the Bombers hoping for Stewart. He's got a couple to beat. Great to see Dyson Heppel back. 3rd for the year, 2nd since that long break. Merritt, Cam Guthrie, terrific year, bit of a scoop. Not quite for Jenkins in that number 11 for the first time as a Cat. Menegola, Dalhouse got rid of the would-be tackler. It was Gleeson. O'Connor got a bit of a problem. Guelphy couldn't quite make it stick. And now Gary Rowan can look at the Cats 2nd.
They're just looking a step behind, aren't they, Bombers? And you wonder whether or not they're having the delay on the bus, but they just look a little lethargic. They're not closing space quickly. They're just giving the Geelong players a little bit too much time to be able to execute, and at this level, Geelong are too good a side.
A 3.5-hour trip it turned out to be. The Bombers arrived just an hour ago. The Cats off to a fast start. Blitzarves the first, Rowan the 2nd.
This is why I love when Patrick Dangerfield plays forward for Geelong. He's got Ridley on him. Just look at the fact that he has to go with him there. He demands that the defender always goes, and that's how Gary Rowan gets a one-on-one. Nice kick to his advantage. But Ridley helps there if it's not Paddy Dangerfield, who he has to go with in the corridor. So Gary Rowan very much taking advantage of having the partner of Dangerfield up in that forward line.
And Liggy, 8 goals in his first 9 games this year, 10 in his last 4 before today. It's been a huge month for him. So the Cats start fast, and Job, I think you're right about tossing that coin. They're going to have to change that. They're going to have to lose one or two. Shields kick forward, and the Gabba wicket, of course, is always a lot of talk about that. And the protection it gets during a footy season. Townsend's kick forward. Challenged by Stewart. A couple of Stewarts, one for the Bombers and one for the Cats in a similar territory. And Zach Guthrie gets his third chance this year. Played very little footy last year. He's really struggled to make his name on that team sheet each week.
9 and then 7, then just one last year for Zach Guthrie. So one of the two late ins. Jenkins the other. Tip and Woody quickly around the corner onto the chest. Here's a chance for the Bombers through Cale Hooker in game 201.
Often the forward just reads the ball a little bit quicker of the tackle here, but we just have a look at Townsend come off the line here and really have a really strong impact, and it's just caused the ball to flutter around, and it's the quick kick that eventuates, and the shot on goal comes from that. And that's what you need when things aren't going well for you. It's just that physicality to try and change the flow of the game.
Well, he'd be disappointed. Cale Hooker didn't really kick through the football, an injury-plagued year. So a couple of opportunities missed for the Bombers.
Just kills you, doesn't it? I mean, the Mosquito, McDonald, Tip and Woody and Hooker, and at the other end, Rowan's not going to miss or blitz halves. It absolutely makes a difference. Here's Buse. It sets the tone for the day as well. Kolajasny. He hasn't worried the scorers. We know that. Kicked it behind this year from a chance, but no goals in how many games now? 104 today. There's Rowan. Zirk Thatcher, he's been given a good run, Zirk Thatcher. They're having a good look at him. They're working out where he's at and what he can bring to the table next year.
Murray Bridge boy, Bruce.
Yep, good place.
Merritt off hands, and suddenly the Cats looking dangerous again. Hawkins with that strength. Hurley's not an easy man to move, but he did.
That is how strong he is, because Michael Hurley, Joe...
He's a big man. But just have a look here. I mean, the way in which the Geelong forward line is operating together, they're just isolating each other, and these one-on-ones, they'd be licking their lips as the ball is coming through.
15 gone.
So leading the Coleman, coming into today, looking to become the 12th different Cat to win the Coleman. Cats get their third, 3-1 to a couple of behinds. 17-point lead, early going.
How do you stop the rot, eh? Having a fine season, Hawkins. We know that he's started rather slowly. He's done that before, and he's just picked up and kept on going. He's the All-Australian full forward at the moment, and nothing's going to change in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season.
Kick it in the middle, and I love you.
Message from Bella to Tommy Hawkins on Father's Day.
The simplicity, isn't it? Just kick it through the middle and I love you.
Good advice. Dad did exactly that. Arabella will be very happy with that.
He's never looked so fit, I think, Tom Hawkins. Lingy, I've never seen him look so lean and so agile. I mean, it's just fantastic to be able to do that at this stage of his career.
Well, Lingy was alongside him the day that he told us all he could play in that famous grand final. Changed everything, didn't it? Gleeson, he'd been under so much scrutiny, Hawkins, before that day. Sard says a lot about his mental strength as well as his physical capabilities. Merritt to Clark, back to Sard. Love his bounce when he could get to the half back. I think he's missing McKenna a bit. We all are a little bit, aren't we, with that run and carry that they provided. They bang it back in the Cats. That's a good mark by Parfit.
Mark paid behind. Time.
This is a good
Hold
start
there.
for Geelong.
Hold.
And looking dangerous again here. So from about 53, it's going to be hard for Hawkins, but again with that extraordinary strength, stands his ground and makes the mark stick.
But again, the ability for that contest, that marking contest, to be one-on-one. Hawkins is going to mark those all day if he can get one-on-one. Same with Rowan, same with Dangerfield. Those Essendon defenders need to help each other. But the Cats' ball use so far has been excellent.
Shelling peas for Tom. He's got 2 for the afternoon, 37 for the year.
We just see here, and this is the trap that you can fall into as a side, is you think when things aren't going well, you think that the offense is the way to get out of it. What Essendon need to do now is they need to focus on defence. They need to close space quickly. They need to stop this easy ball movement. They need to be able to get up in Geelong's faces and put them under pressure, because otherwise the Geelong forward line is just going to feast on one-on-one opportunities that Lengy's talking about. And the tendency for players when you're out there is you think, if I can get the ball, I can change the game. It's actually the opposite. You need to be able to stop the ball from moving so quickly, and it's defence that gets you out of it.
So blitz halves and Stewart. So not the top ruckman on the sheets, but blitz halves does a lot of it. Stewart less. Duncan having another fine season. Fogarty got it. A good kick forward to Dalhouse. Well, they're screaming away here, Geelong. I think they fancy playing at the Gabba late in October, the way they're playing here today.
Might be just on his range, this one, Dalhouse. He was looking to give it off early on in the game and reasonably fresh. He might just carry the distance to help with that defensive, but they've got to stop those easy exits.
Yeah.
Congestion. Geelong players are walking through those at the moment.
5 straight from set shots. Dalhouse this year. Has it got the legs? It's got the legs. It's got the accuracy. This has been a sensational start by the Cats.
Pro Dairy is Australia's leading-edge dairy health partnership. Customised for your farm, we maintain best-in-class animal health. Designed for dairy farmers, delivered by dairy vets. Pro Dairy, we've got you covered.
At Tyre Power, we're for Victorians, committed to helping you stay safe on the roads. Each Tyre Power family business knows how important trust, reliability and safety are right now. So for the best advice on tyres, call Tyre Power on 13 21 91.
Ball use has been superb by the Cats, but this stat here would be alarming for John Worsfold and Ben Rutten and the Essendon coaches. 96% kicking efficiency for the Cats. The ball is coming out far too easy. Duncan there in traffic, but he's allowed to step through. And you give Mitch Duncan any sort of time and space, he'll hit anyone lace out. They are dominating, winning the ball, but they have got so much time and kicking it beautifully.
The Cats' best opening term this year, 5 goals, 2. Still 8 minutes to play. Inside 50s, 6-2. Every time the Cats have been inside, they've scored 5-1 so far. Clark over the top to Parrish. O'Connor almost got him. Intercepting Atkins. Parrish desperate for it. Did well. Back to Clark. Then Stringer. He's wrapped up and taken over the line by Kolajasny.
Gee, the pressure through the midfield there from Geelong, compare that to the Bombers' midfield.
And I think if you're an Essendon supporter, you want to see that real pressure, that when the team is playing well, it's really noticeable, but when they're not, they just get opened up like this.
O'Connor running with Heppel. Fogarty inside 50. Hurley this time doesn't have to deal with the ball. And Hawkins all at once. Fogarty, front spot, knocked away by Clark. Little give from Smith. Low ball from Merritt. Dangerfield misses the tackle. Help arrives.
Put him up. Move away.
Parfitt and Dangerfield.
Okay.
Dangerfield the first tackler, Parfitt the second. So Paddy, those last 3 quarters against the Dogs were awesome, weren't they? His ability to change the tone of a match. So Stewart, Ridley got up high. Fogarty just missed it. Parrish's hands were good to Shield. He had a funny old game last week, Shield. He got a lot of the ball, but he made some strange decisions with the ball. Buse gets it from Taylor.
With all the numbers back for the Bombers at the moment, Geelong just happy to go into a little bit of controlled possession, be patient with the footy. What Job was talking about earlier, the Cats have learnt a way to go really quick when they can, but also happy to slot into this sort of mode and just keep the ball off the opposition.
O'Connor, Henry, Stewart. Back to Henry.
That's why closing space and tackle pressure is so important when playing Geelong, because they're so good at just maintaining possession. And if Essendon aren't able to turn the ball over in contest, then they will be just chasing kick marks the entire game.
Guthrie to Henderson to Stewart.
And they've got this better. Geelong, I reckon this was their first intent early on. in the season, and now they've flipped it. They do want to go quick, but are then happy to shift to this as opposed to go this first option.
Front contact, go through. On the full. Let it go.
So the Bombers coming back to Redmond, back in the team. When Collingwood beat them in Perth, you felt like it was the old Geelong. They'd beaten Brisbane the week before, but the Perth trip changed a few things, I think. They then beat the Dockers, and that game on the Saturday night, I think you did at home against the Eagles, was, I think, telling. And I feel like they've, big fly, they've just gone on with it from that point on.
Yeah, they're in great shape, and the Eagles had to pull out all stops to get home. But they were really impressive. Down to you, Abs.
Yeah, guys, we spoke to Dyson Heppel pre-game. They arrived at the Gabba less than an hour before the bounce. He said they're good to go. It wasn't going to affect their preparation. But for me personally, I have a set routine. I had superstitions, so it's interesting to see, you know, mentally how much this lack in preparation ahead of the game will affect the Bombers out here in this first quarter.
Menegola gives it everything he's got. Again, Jenkins, Dangerfield. Rowan was there too, but Dangerfield terrific.
Paddy, 2 metres, please.
Well, again, just no help in the air. Expecting that third Essendon player to come up over the top. It's good body use by Dangerfield. Those marks inside 50 already adding up for the Cats.
There, hold.
And Abby's point's a good one. I think for young teams and ones who are doubting themselves and maybe confidence is a bit iffy, I think when the preparation is interrupted, it all becomes magnified.
Yeah.
Mature teams who are going well would be quite calm in that situation.
Hasn't scored the last 3 weeks. He's been slightly inaccurate, but not there. They get goal number 6 in 15 minutes.
My dad's my T-Rex. I love you.
They'd be pretty happy with Dad's work there.
My dad's a T-Rex.
I was always a big Tyrannosaurus Rex fan myself.
Be called worse things, couldn't you?
Except when it's time to pay. You don't want to be called a T-Rex then.
37-2. So just wonder about Hooker, whether he should be down back for the moment. I mean, all those marks forward 50. Stewart takes a mark there.
Nice tap by Draper in the middle.
Here it is.
Very nice bit of ruck work. To a midfielder on the move. Forwards love that when it's coming out.
6 goals, 3 from set shots this year, but they've made a mess of it. A couple of chances they've had today, the Bombers, whereas Geelong have been oh so accurate at the other end. Highest first quarter for the Cats this season, and that sums up what we're seeing.
Yeah. And when you get scoreboard pressure, you then make the opposition have to play perfect, and you don't get a chance to miss these shots like this because you're too far behind, and that's why fast starts are so important and obviously amplified in these shorter format games.
Well, Stewart strong there against Henderson.
Thanks, Tom. You.
Tippenwoody, he was always in trouble. Duncan just used his body well. The ball was sent in a little too high. Duncan too experienced. Well, Tommy Hawkins a long way from where he normally resides. So 6-1 for the Cats. Still 3.5 minutes to play. Highest scoring quarter this year, 7-3. It's happened 3 times. Cats have done it once.
Look at those mark numbers.
Yeah, that's just a training drill with this ball movement. Being able to take that many marks in a quarter.
Snelling, Guelphy, Ridley, all combining. Shield back to Ridley. Ridley now to Merritt. Can they build and get a goal late? Well, it's up to Langford to find a target. He works it over the top to Stewart. He juggles, but he's got another opportunity.
Well, that was better. It came from the turnover. I think Harry Taylor on his right foot, just missing that target, putting a bit behind Menegola. That's what the Bombers have got to do. When they can get a turnover, got to be quick and clever with their ball use. Just got it in there to Stewart. Just held on. Now, what has he learnt from his last one?
Learn a lot. Learn a lot. Straight through the middle. Bombers on the board.
Well, he did
This
learn
is
a
a
lot.
good response, isn't it?
Yeah, he did. He learnt, well, he probably learnt that the goals were 30 metres to the left of where his last kick went. Hit it nicely. It's just got to be little steps along this way if they're going to be any chance of a comeback. It has been all Geelong this quarter, but just have those little wins.
So Draper getting over the top. Stewart's response was good because he took that intercept mark and then he's gone back and kicked a goal. So 2 good actions after what was a pretty bad miss, as we know. So can they build something here? And Geelong have been at their absolute top. They're on a roll at the moment. They've won their last 5. They lost 2 of their first 3. But nobody's played any better footy than them over the last month and a bit. Atkins kick forward. That week as Rowan around the body. Just was that week where they knocked the Saints and Port Adelaide off in the same week was devastating stuff.
We're looking forward to Zach Tui playing his 200th today, but just seeing O'Connor, not yet 50 games, but his improvement's been enormous.
Yeah, and put into the leadership group this season, Hayne, they really like not only what he brings as a player, but the way he's around the group, his professionalism, his leadership. Can have a long career at the Cats. I'll be interested to watch at quarter time. I mean, you don't want to go into blaming teammates and that, but do you feel the Essendon defenders would have every right to get up to the midfielders at quarter time and ask for some sort of pressure to be put on around the footy?
Yeah. Long. Slipped. Yep, Tom.
Atkins happy to set the Cats rolling again. They're looking for their 7th in this first term. Hurley runs a fine line.
You're exactly right, Lingy. It's the contested possession. It's the ability to put pressure on. It's the closing of space that the Bombers aren't doing further up the ground. And then the outcome is that their defenders are looking silly because Geelong are kicking into so much space under no pressure.
When the ball comes in quick and under not much pressure and it's one-on-ones, even the best defenders to ever play the game can feel completely overwhelmed.
Merritt to Draper. Long floating ball. Townsend over the top. Not sure who's underneath all of that. Is it Jenkins?
Thank you, Jacob.
It is. How to make a good impression. First day at your new school.
Get the right uniform is a good start, Hammer.
Yep. So half a minute before quarter time, and the Cats have been thoroughly impressive. A late goal to the Bombers through Stewart. Jenkins and Zach Guthrie, the 2 late ins. Reece Stanley and Zach Tui, the 2 late out. So Tui doesn't play his 200th. Again, Dangerfield strong in the air. They got time here. He's got to be swift. A couple of quick kicks inside 50.
Play on, me.
Cats happy to absorb a little of the clock. So a 5-goal lead at quarter time on a Sunday afternoon at the Gabba. The Cats trying to finish strongly in season 2020. Have a win, lock down a top 4 spot. The Bombers, a win's a must, or there's no final to them. 6-2 to 1-2, quarter time at the Gabba.
The ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it...
I don't think there is anybody in the Geelong combination that will stop this man if he's in full flight. Salmon again. Wondering how Gary Ablett was feeling down there. He'd be almost getting cold. Ablett and Danaher. The end result might be okay. Ablett slung off the ball. Snap shot. He's got his foot. And Ablett. Salmon. Ablett snap. Number 10. Kicking towards full forward. Looking for Salmon. He does well. Does extremely well. Long kick. Ablett. Good use of the body. Well, equally he's 14 against Richmond, which he's done. This is a treat. He's kicked 10. There's the siren. The Bombers have won a classic football match.
124 goals, 60 from 17 games for Gaz that year. You were at the game, Joe Watson.
It was one of the best games I've ever been to. And you watch the vision now, all you just see is these different opponents that Gaz keeps jumping on the heads of. No one wanted to go near him.
14 goals a month of goals for
14
teams these days. Down to you, Abby.
Yeah, thanks, Hayne. We know that sluggish first halves have put the Bombers on the back foot so far this season, but I don't even think it was that. I think this Geelong outfit have just put on an absolute masterclass in the opening term here at the Gabba. And just on that Geelong forward line, the functionality of that group has been so impressive to watch from ground level. They took 5 contested marks that quarter and they averaged 8 per game, really dominating that aerial battle. But the way that Hawkins, Rowan and Dangerfield in particular work for one another and, you know, work together is just superb to watch from down here.
Joe, what do you notice from an Essendon standpoint?
Well, if you just have a look at how they were defensively, and we talked about their inability to close space, but here is a slow play, and they've got Geelong locked in, and if you just have a look at the middle of the screen, there's two Geelong players actually free. That Geelong player goes across and then creates an outnumber. Now, Danger takes a mark, but if the ball had spilt to ground, Geelong have got an outnumber by 2 there already, and it's not just the closing space near the contest, but also defensively around the ground. They're just not switched on to be able to defend the game.
No, you could make all these positional changes, throw the magnets round, get it right. But the basics have to be there first from the Bombers. That's what the big message, I assume, would be at quarter time. Fix up the basics of the game.
So 6 goals to 1 in the opening term. It's a 30-point lead, and Essendon on the ropes early. Draper to Merritt, 3 Cats at the fall of the ball. Clark just trying to hold it up for the moment. It looked ominous from the get-go. A missed opportunity with McDonald, Tippenwoody and Mosquito, and then suddenly a Blitzarv's goal was followed by Rowan and Hawkins and Dalhouse and Dangerfield. Buse easily enough. Here's Close. Didn't call his name at all in the first quarter. In fact, first disposal coming up. Premiership player last year in the Sandford with Glenelg. Called to play on. High ball inside. Ridley just missed good connection, but in the end achieves probably what he was hoping to do. Kill the ball, reset. Heard from Tommy Hawkins' kids. His old man Jack Hawkins would be pretty happy with what he saw in the first quarter. Happy Father's Day to Jack. Blitzarves knocks it down. Merritt well done to Parrish. Dalhouse brilliant, intercepted the ball, and then Guthrie grabbed hold of it. 2 Bombers grabbed him.
So can they make an impression here, Essendon? Just peg them back a little. Dangerfield talked about 2 goals at a time the other night when they came from 6 goals behind at quarter time. I think if Close is going to wear the long sleeves today, we're never going to see him in the short ones, don't you?
Warm afternoon at the Gabba. I just wonder if he's got a singlet on underneath as well.
Interesting player. Doesn't get a lot of it, doesn't kick goals really. He's had 1, but keeps getting a game, doing a job. Will he be there in October? Atkins hurled up. They're going to be a hard team to get into. Mosquito tapped it on. Dalhouse puts Guthrie under the punt. That's holding the footy. Clark was good there.
And Clark's got the job on Cam Guthrie in the middle of the ground. All over him at the stoppages, and that's a good strong tackle. Fantastic. That's what it's got to be built on. Just bit by bit, high pressure, good around the contest, composed ball use, slowly work their way back into the game.
Mosquito's ball in the stringer and hooker direction. Merritt knew what he wanted to do, almost found Langford. Mosquito takes it at speed. McDonald, Tippenwoody. Well, Henry had the height. Heppel. O'Connor kept his feet, did well, and then clears trouble, at least momentarily, for the Cats. Shield, Merritt screaming for it. Clark provided an option. Through the middle, the Bombers go. Zerk Thatcher. Handball to Ridley. Careful sort of a kick. Redmond. Heppel on top of his head. never stood much of a chance.
No, and they adjust so well, the Geelong defence, don't they? They just shifted as the ball moved, and because the ball movement wasn't fast enough from Essendon, it just meant that by the time the ball went into the forward 50, it was an outnumber to the Geelong defence anyway.
Draper got rid of blitz halves and had a second crack at it. Ball bubbles about. Clark over the top. Atkins over the top of him. Hasn't quite got out. Heppel did well. He realised that Clark was in trouble re-holding the ball, so he's fetched it. Blitz halves goes towards the line. Duncan had a second look, second grab. Did pretty well. Heard the call. Good hands by Jenkins. Read it well. He gets another crack here. So Josh doing okay. Does he find a target? Not quite, but Hawkins okay. That was good by close. That's why he's in the team. And Rowan goes for goal. No, he doesn't. He goes for Paddy. Paddy, can he work something here? He's got a good man against him in Ridley. Lovely kick. And finds a bloke that had a dozen disposals in the opening term.
And having a brilliant season, Bruce, Sam Menegola. First of all, Gary Rowan missed Menegola, could have just popped it in front of him, went the more difficult one to Dangerfield, but Paddy's so strong through the hips and the upper body, eventually got it to Menegola.
Dangerfield's field kicking has been phenomenal this season, and Menegola gets it home. They've got 7.
We just have a look here. It's on the Geelong halfback line, and we watch the connectiveness of the Geelong players and their ability to share the ball, win the contest, and then just move the ball down the ground. Not necessarily always 100% clearly, and this is here, a big man, Tom Hawkins, picking down at his bootlaces. They used the ball. It wasn't perfect, but the ball was moving, and they were just outnumbering their some players. They were running harder forward, and then Danger with clever kick and weighted it beautifully, but the ability of the Geelong whole team to move the ball down so effectively.
So Draper, a little opportunity, and then suddenly Fogarty straight onto him.
Holding the ball.
The Cats are going to punch forward again.
Me, mate, me.
Dangerfield just outmanoeuvred in the end by Ridley. Smaller frame, but held his ground. Dangerfield, like a bull, keen to get the ball. Just on the Bombers in first quarters, Joe.
Yeah.
The last 8 games, including today, their average score in first quarters in the last 8 games is 7.5 points.
Yeah.
Gee, it makes competing hard.
It does, and we know that the third game in 11 days, but they just looked flat-footed. And
Myers is clever, works his way through. Check side goal. They've got 8.
Just Myers there by himself, still by himself. You have to scratch your head sometimes and wonder how that happens. I know it's not all about shoulder to shoulder and arm across. That's not the way structures work around stoppages, but that entire time that ball got thrown in and it was bobbling around a little bit, Myers was completely by himself the whole time.
Look at this percentage, so 143.9. They started on 138.7. What it does, it puts West Coast out of the equation unless they win an extra game against Geelong. So this is significant for the Cats. If they can keep the hammer down, Jenkins doing well. If they can crush Essendon today, close again, a little handball wide. Fogarty to Parfitt, gets it to Menegola, having another terrific day. Lovely kick to a man who can kick a goal. You get the drift, guys.
Yep.
This is going to be big for Geelong if they can smash the Bombers today.
And again, it's that drive out of the middle of the ground. You've been talking about it all day, Joe. That work rate, outnumber again. Fogarty getting across, Parfitt getting across, Menegola who'd worked right across and delivered inside.
And Hawkins, oh, he's got it, has he?
Yep.
He's kicked 3 already.
on the NFL, they say the tape don't lie, and this is what's happening here. The Bombers, there's no place to hide in the AFL football, and they are just getting outworked, out-hunted. They're better ball movement, and unfortunately for the defenders, there's not much they can do. The ball's coming in too quickly, too fast, and with no pressure, and it's just showing on the scoreboard, and they're getting just pulled apart, aren't they, Lingy?
Yep, absolutely. And gee, Michael Hurley, I mean, not a lot are you going to do that.
No.
When you've got a player of Tom Hawkins' calibre and it's coming down like that,
11 to play before half-time. Margin is 48. Biggest win of the year, 75 points. That was Port Adelaide over the Adelaide Crows. So there's a few things that you can look out for today, and one is the biggest win of the year. It just smells like the Cats are hungry to continue to charge forward. Blitzarves, second bite at it, over his shoulder.
Hold, James, hold. Stay with him.
They just seem to be dominating every passage of play, not just most of it, every.
Hold, Will, hold. Right there.
O'Connor to Guthrie.
Hold. Thanks, Will, right there. Yours.
Then that big frame again, Hawkins. Wasn't ideal, Hurley and he having a real scrap.
But again, it's one-on-one.
Exactly right.
With all those numbers that are there, Joe, you've got to ask, how does that happen?
Yeah. But, well, I mean, we look at the inside 50s. They're just brilliant forward craft, isn't it? And a forward cohesive unit working together to create space for each other.
Just saw Hawkins sucking it in. He just had a moment there. He wasn't feeling 100%, but everything else going well. Myers kicks to that centre-half forward spot. O'Connor, Zach Guthrie, and then close again. Loving his handball to Hughes. It's another one. It's another one.
Just little things at the moment there. Again, the outnumber, but how clean and sharp, close at ground level. Jed Hughes is the one who ends up with it.
Yeah.
But Joe, that handball potentially goes to another one or two other Geelong players.
Yeah.
The point you've made the whole game, the outnumber of the Cats. The Bombers players aren't getting across to that next contest.
We have a look there, Lingy. I mean, 50% of the time they're in their forward 50, they're kicking a goal. I mean, that comes down to lack of pressure and ability to close space and put the other opposition in a difficult position.
54 points now, the biggest half-time lead this year. 46 season opener. Richmond over the Blues. The Cats staring that down. Duncan, Fogarty.
Play on.
Not quite. Off a hand or two. Shield, Stewart, immediately under pressure. Got rid of the ball. Langford wanted Heppel, couldn't find him. Merritt, Parker puts the pressure on him. Cats win the ball back. Atkins, Zach Guthrie, neat kick to the outer side. Into the sunshine is Jenkins. So back to Hughes, the last goal scorer for the Cats. Second for the year for Hughes. Stewart.
And the marks, Haim, 45 to 10. Geelong have just controlled it when they've wanted. They've gone quick when they can. Controlled the footy. Essendon just can't get their hands on it, can't do anything with it.
Spills toward Smith, and then little kick, Henry. Duncan gains 40-50 metres or so, just on the inside 50, so it's 19 to 7. 10 goals, 2 from 19 inside 50 entries.
Yeah, it's impressive. I wonder if... So Dyson Heppel at the moment, I know he's coming back from injury, just the one disposal. Devon Smith, 3 possessions. Those sorts of players, John Worsfold throws them around the ball and says, we just got to find something from our midfield group. It's over to you guys, the experienced players. Get it done.
So Colin Jasny, good kick. Lingy, I want you to get your memory working. I'm starting to think round 6, 2007, Myers. Richmond, when Geelong announced themselves, it was 20 goals, 6 to 2 goals, 7 at half-time against the Tigers. You played in that game and kicked a few, but they announced themselves at 2007. This is not, I know this is not exactly it, but it feels as one-sided.
Well, just an ability of a team to be able to put the foot down as well as win hard-fought ones, to put a team away. It helps build that belief that you know you're good around the contest, you know you're good defensively, all of those facets you can take care of, but can you actually just pour it on the scoreboard and really put a team away? That grows the confidence of a group.
So Guelphy, McDonald, Tipperwoody, he'd love that moment back in the opening term. He'd love the handball back. Maybe the idea was right, it was just the execution behind Mosquito. So the Bombers with a chance to go forward 50. It's unfamiliar territory in this term, particularly at the back. Hughes, Stringer normally good at these, doesn't quite get the angle right. couple of big flies. And well done, Gary Rowan, doing it both ends.
First score of the term for the Bombers. Guthrie seemingly undecided, but then happy to head towards Sam Menegola, who's having a big year. Duncan too. Looked to the outside for a handball. Decided better of it, and then a low ball finds Draper. So a turnover. Can Essendon manufacture here. Ridley. Short ball to Hooker. Sard wants it short. Hooker thinks there's better options. So Heppel, third game for the season. The ankle and the foot that's troubled him so much seems to be behind him. We hope that's the case. Smith cautiously. Snelling. So McDonald, Tipperwoody all by himself. It was always his. Now it's just about the finish. Can they find their second? Stewart, the lone goal scorer for the Bombers late in that opening term.
Better ball use by the Bombers, composed. Didn't panic when they were asked to play on. Worked the ball down the ground nicely.
90% of his set shots have gone where he's wanted them to. Runs out to the right. The ball stays out to the right.
He's had a good few weeks. 8 goals in his last 3 before this match, including 4 against the Eagles. Henderson.
Gee, Lockie Henderson's come back in and done a good job. Was delisted, brought him to the rookie list, got his chance, and him and Harry Taylor are working beautifully as a defensive pair down there.
8th consecutive game for him, Lingy, so he's found his spot and he's held his spot. Didn't think that would happen at the start of the year. So Zach Guthrie to Hawkins up the ground. Lovely kick to Dangerfield. Well weighted by Hawkins. And then Paddy. Dalhouse, Guthrie. Gee, there's a lot of time. I know they're zoning back the Bombers, but there's a lot of time for the Cats to think about it. Guthrie to Henderson. It's a good kick. It's a really good kick. Releases Duncan a centre wing.
And he works the ball towards half. It wanted Harry Taylor. Atkins over the top. Menegola. Fogarty. And then Hawkins. Jenkins off a hand and out of bounds.
And Bruce, you touched on the Bombers zoning back, and there's a lot of time. There's no advantageous way for them to be able to turn the ball over in their defensive 50. They need to turn the ball over further up the ground. That's the way they're going to get back into the game, not by zoning back or flooding back to their defensive 50.
Hawkins so desperate to get the ball charged out, and then tried to break the tackle, and then the handball wasn't clean. The determination was there. Hurley, Guthrie on top of him. Ball spills. Buse has a goal. Might try and get involved in another. Guthrie never had it quite reach him. Townsend does the mopping up. Desperate sort of a kick.
Geelong.
McDonald, Tipperwoody wrapping Harry Taylor up.
And Job, on your point, you're absolutely correct, but it's against every natural instinct. When you feel under the pump, you want to retreat and go back to your defensive 50 to protect your goals. But you end up hurting your team doing that. They've got to be bold and come at Geelong. Try and create those turnovers up the ground. But it is so hard to do when you're feeling all that pressure and the tightness of what the scoreboard's reading right now.
Rowan takes his time, gets around Mosquito and runs his full measure and kicks a long ball, hugging the pocket. Gleeson got back. Hooker just came across, so Hooker's been down in the back for a while now, has he? Started forward. So Gleeson deep in defence, playing the safety measure game. Henry gets behind Stringer. Merritt's hands good. Heppel working backwards. Oh, Redmond just lost his way completely. Myers has already done this once today. Now he's done it twice. Same kick, same result.
Just have a look here. I mean, Hef goes backwards into a man who's under pressure, and felt like the Bombers players have been under pressure the entire game, and they just haven't been able to reciprocate that to the Geelong side, and that's been the problem. The major problem is they just haven't put any Geelong player under any heat, and Geelong have just feasted on them all day. Looking forward to having him coming back as well.
Does he play against the Tigers Friday night?
I would imagine so, but then again, Bruce, I thought he was going to play today. They just keep holding him back, but it's a brave coaching and medical staff that keeps doing that to him.
Dangerfield superb to Parfitt. Here's Myers, got a couple, kicked the last, tries to set up another. How is Dalhouse going? Sticky hands under all sorts of pressure, and he can go back, kick another, make it an even dozen for the Cats. 3 minutes shy of half-time.
25 inside 50s to 9, and coming down under not much pressure at all. They are marking the footy down there, controlling it, doing everything. Clearances 17 to 9. All the stats are just pointing to the demolition that's going on right now.
Not another goal, but still a chance in the air. Knocked over. When Essendon,
Blood rule, no.
they arrived late and just have not got out of first gear.
No.
It's actively bleeding.
You don't want to
Essendon
give excuses
blood
for them, but we've seen teams really turn it up on these condensed blocks of games. We saw the Melbourne play Port Adelaide, and they just look a step behind. And from the moment this game started, you could see that the Bombers were slow to close space, and it's always the biggest telltale sign of a team that's not ready physically and mentally is when you just see them really lethargic when they're near the ball, and it's just snowballed from there, and they're now just getting pulled apart completely.
But if I'm a Bomber fan, I'm thinking I've seen this before over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
They are such a tricky team to get a handle on. But it is a year like no other. We know the difficulties associated. Good tackle, Atkins, Sard, Parfitt, Atkins. Little give by O'Connor, Menegola, hooking back to about 5 metres. And you think of a couple of the names we called there, and Jenkins here. A lot of Geelong players are going to want to play so well, aren't they, to be in that best 22.
And Bruce, it's a great point you make. Even in that last passage, a lot of those small forwards putting on enormous pressure at the moment. They know that a man has arrived in the Queensland hubs named Gary Ablett, who's going to get a spot at some stage. They want to make sure that they're going to be in the team come finals and not have to make way for Gaz.
There's 3 unequivocal spots that we have to be given up. Ablett, Selwood, Zach Tui. Any others?
You'd imagine Reece, at the moment, Reece Stanley is the #1 ruckman when he's fit. Probably still not completely locked away. But Ablett, Selwood, Tui, yes.
Handy 3 to include of a team that's sitting at second on the ladder.
We thought we'd be celebrating the Irishman's 200th today, the second Irishman behind Jim Steins to achieve that in this VFL AFL game of ours. Zach Guthrie, one of the 2 late ins, sails over his head, and then Guelphy desperate to keep it in. Did a good job of it, but to the advantage of Menegola. Has a few mates about the place too. Stewart, Guthrie, O'Connor ignored. Speaking of good Irishmen, and there's Taylor. Not given the mark. Guelphy ripped it away from him. Sard with a bit of speed, short ball. Got a couple here, but the fumble didn't help Snelling. Then to Stewart. Inside 50, the kick sort of sums up Essendon's afternoon. Great opportunity, amounts to not much.
Rocks, please.
Get a stoppage.
Rocks, please.
Just
Sam, Mark, you're up. Thank
that's
you.
what they want Sard to do, to get metres gain, use the ball wisely. Tui really misses too quickly back to him. He played 138 consecutive, sort of half of what Jimmy managed, but he's been so durable, so it was a shock today. Smith arches his back, gets the ball back to the goal square almost, but Stewart just cuts it off so easily.
Play on.
It's been oh so impressive by Geelong in this first half. But the opposition have been meek and mild.
Thank you, Sam. Mark.
Just looking at the injury list for the Cats. Zach Tui out, brackets, Sol.
He was hit hard, wasn't he?
He said, I got hit in the soul and I'd like to buy him a pint. McDonald tipping Woody. Little give Merritt. He knew exactly where Devon Smith was. He just couldn't get the ball to him.
Play on, no prior, an advantage.
They run in numbers, the Cats, through the middle of the ground. Buse has one. He's pitched it on the green. It's rolling towards the hole and it drops in.
So first time he has kicked two. He kicked 1 goal on 10 occasions, Buse, prior to today. And this now the highest half-time score of the year. And this sums up the way they've played. They've used one another, they've been daring, and they've been so efficient. Their goal kicking has been a masterclass. Parrish out of the centre, gets the ball forward 50. Snelling looking, delivering. That's better, right on half-time, and gives Stringer a good look. And going into the rooms, he just has to kick it. He just has to kick it. You've got to take something with you.
You're right, Bruce. It's going to be a gloomy half-time anyway.
Yeah.
But just...
reason to come out for the second half, this might be.
Snelling, nice bit of composure. Stringer goes back and kicks it. Take anything you can get at the moment.
Come on, package, deliver. He does. There you go. They're not going to charge in there, but oh, that helps a tiny bit. But it's the biggest score in the half this year against them. It has been a masterclass by Geelong. The scoreboard says it all. It's 12 goals to 2.
Well, St Kilda have had a good afternoon. They beat the Hawks. They've got their 9th win of the year, 9-6. They beat the Eagles. They've got the Giants to finish off. It's going to be a huge Thursday night on 7. Brad Hill, he's smiling there. Will he be at the end of an outing against the Eagles? Here it is, all Cats, 12-3, 2-4, 75-16, 59-point leaders. Let's get to Abby Holmes, who's with the coach of the Bombers, John Worsfold.
Bush, a mountain of work to do, and I can imagine there were some pretty tough conversations at half-time. What were your key messages to the group?
Yeah, look, the main message is that there's a half of footy to play, and we want to challenge ourselves without throwing everything out that we've been working on. Get back to just trying to play the way we want to play. We've got to learn from this and step up to the fight.
Hawkins, Rowan, Dangerfield, they're a pretty potent combination down there in their forward 50. How do you stop that flow, 26 inside 50s to 12?
Well, that's the bigger issue, yeah. They're putting the ball too easily all over the ground, really, outnumbering us and then using the ball looking like there's not a lot of pressure on them. So we want to ramp that up, make it a real contest and see how we go.
Thanks, Bush. Appreciate your time.
Thanks to Woosher and to Abby there. Gary Rowan, we made mention half-time walking off the ground. He was talking to the medical staff, feeling that hammy. Again there, just having a couple of little issues, but he's on the ground and he's going to start this second half. I would imagine if there was any risk whatsoever, given the scoreboard and what's coming up in the next month or two, he'd put the feet up for the rest of the game. So maybe just a little bit of tightness and all good to go.
It's been a big thing for him, hasn't it? He's missed 115 games in his career through an injury or 2 or 3 or 4. That one big one we know about, but that consistency over the last couple of seasons is now paying its reward for him, so let's hope he gets through today. He's important, as you said, Lingy. What do they do here, Geelong? I mean, how ruthless do they want to be, and can Essendon respond? I mean, the Cats, we do know Richmond's lurking. Now, it is human nature to think about it, isn't it? I mean, we'll see how the second half unfolds.
Here we go.
Can the Bombers make some inroads at least? And Jenkins waits. Draper clearly gets over him. He's done that before. Jenkins to Guthrie. Henry up from half-back, able to sidestep comfortably. And Zirk Thatcher has a victory. Rowan caught on the back foot there, and the youngster was able to read it best. It's a good size. You think he's going to be a good player in a couple of years' time. This is a grounding for him.
And to answer your question, Bruce, about what Geelong do from here, I've always been a believer, especially when you've got bigger things on the horizon, to just always be practicing good habits. So I think they go for the throat here. You go and you put the foot down and you want to really go away with this playing your best possible football as a way of showing to each other what you're capable of come finals. No knees up.
Clark, Snelling, Shield, Draper. Harry Taylor. Well, Hurley has a win, found it tough going against Hawkins at the other end.
Hold there.
At half 40 has a win. Takes a little off it. Taylor goes back with a flight, ends up with Henry. His kick, 4th throw.
It's been a while since they've tried Michael Hurley in the forward line, so they've obviously swapped over, and we just see here James Stewart going up and just collecting the Cats player on the way through.
Myers kicked a couple of goals at this end. The last quarter, Henderson has to take on Snelling. Snelling stops the ball, wants to flick it towards Tippenwoody. Ran out of room and options. Bobbles away into the hands of Parrish. Can they find a third? It floats across the face. Pitches inside the field of play. Abby, down to you.
Yeah, guys, just received an update on the match review decision on Zach Butters from last night with that hit on Jai Simpkin at Metricon. He has been handed down a 2-match sanction, so Port will be without him for a couple of games.
So the last 2 games of the home and away season for them, that's Essendon and Collingwood. So he will be right for the finals.
So thanks for that update, Abby. Careless, high impact and high contact for Butters. Lucky to escape the intentional there in the extra week.
Fortuitous for Port, but he's been such an integral player for them, so obviously plays a big part for them, and they'll be thrilled to have him in the finals.
He's had some big moments, hasn't he, in the last few weeks. So that's the news for Butters. Mark taken by Heppel. See, within range. It's not a long kick, is he?
Devin Smith might get the handball here. Yep.
Well done, Lingy. And then probably wish he hadn't. And the mark taken by Henry. You were talking about Hurley earlier. He kicked over 20 goals, Joe. 3 consecutive seasons, but we're going way back. 2013, the most recent, so it is a long time ago.
Cats just options all over the place. Stewart happy to kick long. Henderson. A good runner in blitzers. The ball settles. Draper just corrals for the moment. Easy kick back to Henry. Buse, the goal scorer, a couple in that second term. Father's Day. Andrew will be saying, oh, I kicked 6 against the Tigers. Son will be saying, well, you weren't a backman.
I cop those discussions all the time, Emma.
Dangerfield. Towards Hawkins. Still, he can do some good work here. Shepherd's Redmond off the ball. Smith did well, intercepted, gave it off to Ridley. He runs out of options, brings it back towards the broadcast side. Merritt, second go at it. Still a chance for Ridley.
Advantage, you kick.
And Ridley's kick, well, it might be out of bounds on the full, so advantage given up straight away back into the hands of Dangerfield.
Lee talked about how would the Geelong side respond, and we just have a look there, the example of Gary Rohan's ability to chase down and create another opportunity for another entry, and that's the mentality of a team that is really hungry when those defensive actions are still happening, even regardless of what the scoreboard looks like.
Short Dangerfield to Duncan. He's so dangerous, Rohan, in that forward 50. And he had a very disappointing grand final in the past. So more than ever, he would love to get a second crack here in the form that he's in. Lovely kick to Hawkins. Beautifully weighted there by Duncan.
He's a superb kick of the footy, Mitch Duncan. And again, we see that Geelong forward line structure combined with a few Essendon players standing around happy to guard grass and thinking they're defending. End up with a pretty easy mark for the Coleman medal leader. Tough shot at goal, but he has been kicking the ball superbly.
He may sew the Coleman medal up today. He may put it beyond reach. It's a beautiful kick. It's just not quite. If he gets another couple, I think that might be it. They won't catch him.
Last cat to win the Coleman, Gary Senior, 95. 3 years he went 124, 129, 122. That's including finals. So Hurley maybe shifted back a little. Gleeson's still on the champion data sheets in the red, which means he's in the hands of the doctors. Hasn't been ruled out for the game, but he went off just before half-time. Redmond now the target. Dalhouse makes it interesting. Redmond did well. Merritt just driving by it. Now towards half-forward. Pick up okay from O'Connor. Clark. Tackle was good. Maybe a little over the shoulder. Extracted the football. Off to Shield. Kick. Didn't go too far. Guthrie dragged to ground. Dangerfield, as always, finds a way to get the football and put it into a bit of space if he doesn't find his teammate. Guelphy to Merritt. Merritt to the top of the square. In fact, over the square and out of bounds. Abby.
Guys, just take a look at that replay with Gary Rowan. He stretched to try and intercept that ball and straight away felt that hammy and came straight from the ground. So, as we discussed, if there's any inkling of any worries there, surely they would put him on ice knowing that they've got this game well and truly sewn up here tonight.
Thanks, Abby. So, a big watch, isn't it? It's a huge part of the Geelong planning towards the finals. Had one big hamstring on Friday night on this ground. Close got a high tackle. It'll be a stoppage. Dangerfield trying to get it out. Parrish run down by Close. Gets a second crack, Parrish. Shields handball over the top. Searching Snelling. Inboard to Draper and the ruckman. Oh, just rattles the goalpost. I've been impressed with Draper. I've liked his 4 or 5 weeks.
Great athleticism, Bruce, and his ability. He's going to get better as a ruckman, but his ground level work is really impressive for a young player.
Free kick to Hawkins, quickly over the top to Guthrie. Duncan is there. Guthrie can provide a little shelter and allow Duncan just to continue to bounce down that wing. Gets close to the man, and that was Hooker. Pulls it to half forward. Nothing really doing from a Cats point of view. And, well, Essendon comfortably becomes uncomfortable. Henry sidesteps Tippenwoody too easily, you'd think, and then to Myers. Haven't added to their 12 first half goals as yet in 8 minutes of this third term. 6 in the first, 6 in the second. Guthrie.
High, downfield, advantage.
And Dalhouse runs to about 60. I was going to say just the 15. It wasn't seen to be the case from the umpire. Jenkins towards blitz halves. Well done, Guelphy. Had to do a job. Stood up, did it well. Off to Sard.
Cut across to near, now wide. Townsend. Views has had a very good day. He's had a very good season. He's injured last year. Menegola's kick cut off by Snelling. So the efficiency is the thing that's going to be interesting for the Cats. Lingy talked about keep the good habits. Let's see how efficient they can be in the second half, because that's the start for them. And at the moment, they're a bit sloppier than they were. Hard to do when you're this far in front.
Into the protected area, has to go wide.
Well, that helps, but I'm with you, Bruce. Just the last couple of minutes, not quite as efficient by the Cats. Gary Rowan getting that treatment, as Abby updated us on before. They will be very, very cautious with him, I would imagine.
I don't understand your argument.
See, the sciatic could be playing hell with him right now, with the glutes being worked on and the hammies. So Myers has kicked a couple of running goals. He's got one of the more unusual run-ups in AFL history. It's effective. Here we go. And then goes bang. He's having a really good afternoon. He's kicked 3.
These are the little things that you want to see from Geelong in the second half. Zach Guthrie, desperate to be a part of this team come finals. Going back and being brave. And there's the 50. Stewart just coming around to the mark, which you're not allowed to do through the protected space. And that's the way he kicks them. He's efficient. We saw Max and Henry Ling before. I've been telling them in the backyard not to kick the ball like that, but it works for Graham.
Down to you, Abby.
Yeah, as you can see on screen, guys, Gary Rowan back out on the ground. Good news for Cats fans. He did receive some work, but he seems good to go.
Blitzer just wanted Cam Guthrie, found him, but Langford was knowing exactly how it was going to play out. So Gary Rowan, he would know his body so well. He wouldn't be out there if there was a hamstring issue, would he?
No, he couldn't be, wouldn't be, and the medical staff just wouldn't let him be out there.
Menegola with strength somehow works the ball towards half forward, but not for the first time. Ridley intercepting. He's become a master of it.
If the scoreboard is what it is right now, Haim, you wouldn't even do it in round 3, have him out there if there was any doubt, let alone on the eve of finals and how important he's going to be for their run at the flag.
Wide to Zach Guthrie from Menegola. Hard against the boundary line. Slapped over the top. Zerk Thatcher, Dangerfield, Atkins, Smith. Clever. Mosquito, Parrish. Little ball inside. Well, better passage of play. Comes unstuck. Henderson, Stewart, Parfitt. Plenty of Cats around the place. Stewart mops up, cleans up, and works it to Myers, who has got 3 for the afternoon, 16-2 for the year, and puts it in front of Rowan. Will test his hamstring out here. He takes a bounce, a second bounce. Rowan gets to 50, fires at goal. It's across the face. Close is there. Couldn't complete the mark. Well, Gary Rowan is showing no signs of an issue. Lingy, back to you.
Just a little thing here. Clever, experienced players under the pump. That is brilliant by Lachie Henderson.
Yeah.
To his teammates' advantage, and it leads to a shot at goal up the other end.
What a beautiful sight that was. Rowan for the Cats. Flying down the wing. Clark cut off the Dangerfield handball. Mosquitoes had a couple of good moments.
Okay,
and Zach Guthrie held up. Yeah, it's a good pick-up, Lingy. Henderson doing all the right things. That collective 6, whoever they might be, they can swap and change tiny bit, the Cats. So impressive at the back. So Stewart decided to take it, thought that was the best policy. Good tackle, close. Parrish. Hands were very good to Guelphy. Off a step, wobbles it, and wobbles it fortuitously into the man who kicked the goal on half-time, Stringer's arms.
Fortunate in the end, but as any good forward should be, Joe.
Yeah.
In front.
In front. And they're coming off a low base, the Bombers, but they have been more competitive in this quarter. Just around the ball, they're not letting Geelong walk out of contested situations, and reflecting in the fact that they're not giving up multiple goals so far.
Had a promising season derailed, didn't he, with injury? It started well, Stringer. First 4 games were impressive, and then he's struggled to get back.
Yeah.
Been finding his way, getting a little bit better. But today, tiny bit, and you'd say, well, half a tick for him at the moment.
Henry was pretty committed to Stewart, and then thought better of it to Rowan, who's covered a lot of ground. There's that question mark as to why he's in the hands of the trainers, but he's back on the ground and moving well. Merritt. Smith, well, kick was just touched by Cam Guthrie. Stringer has it all come unstuck. Henderson got caught between a rock and a hard place, got rid of the handball, did really well. Then Stringer ended up with the football, came in his direction. Ridley, Stringer misses his target, I think. Snelling, though, caught high. Advantage. Mosquito ducked under close, gave it off to Shields. Shields should finish, surely. Umpire doesn't shuffle. Finally, the Bombers get their 3rd.
We just see the importance of Jake Stringer, and they've really missed him in his absence, and he's been able to get the ball forward, and Bombers were able to kick a goal here from Shield. But Bruce touched on it before. Stringer was coming off one of his best games for the club against Collingwood that night, and then did the syndesmosis injury. They've really missed his power and his ability to turn the game, and scoring's been one of their problems, and he's such a great matchup as a forward. They've really missed his... They've really struggled with potency in his absence.
Plenty of passion from the Bomber fans. The fan zone a moment ago says Shields' goal. One in each of the first 3 quarters so far for them, but they've stopped the rod at the other end. Draper with that long ball after Shield. Held his ground well in the front there. Stringer, he's having a good couple of minutes. McDonald, Tipperwoody, normally pretty good at those. And this has been the best couple of minutes that the Bombers have had all afternoon.
Comes from that middle part of the ground, hunting around the ball, winning contests, and then getting it forward. That's the basics of their game. That's where it's got to come from.
So McDonald, Tipperwoody, who kicked 8 straight in the 3 weeks coming into this afternoon. A couple of behinds. Here's close.
Contact. Play on.
I'm told, Bruce, long sleeves at Glenelg as well. Inside, the kick comes clean. Fogarty, low ball, looks for Hawkins. Neat passage of play, and Hawkins, as always, looking to be unselfish, but maybe should have gone back and kicked that goal. Smith fumbles the ball. Heard the call, play on from the umpire. Not flustered, not rushed. Little handball to Shield. Kick the last. Floats the ball, all Cats. Well, Stewart didn't know who was around him. It was only Henderson, and they didn't work it out, but still time to make it all okay. Kolajasny to Buse.
Well, it was a bit sloppy, but it shows you what pressure further down the field does. Dylan Shields forced to kick a blind ball on his right foot to an outnumbered Geelong, and it's that pressure further up the field that just makes players feel unnervy, and it causes mistakes, and that's why it's so important when you're looking at how a team is performing. It's their ability to close space up the ground.
Henderson got one in the back. Going back to Hawkins with Jenkins a moment ago. Probably the fact that it was Jenkins, I think he was trying to give him a shot. Good mark in the front from Langford. He's had a good year, Langford, a good goal-kicking year as a big midfielder. Joe, when I look at him, he's not unlike you physically from the back. I mean, he wears that number, and
they've played a little bit more in the forward line this year, Bruce, and he's developed into a nice half-forward flanker, and I think that they would like to eventually get him up into the midfield more, but he's played. It's been nice to see him have some continuity in his game and play week in, week out, and be a contributor.
Getting better each year. He's been a bit slower than a couple of the others, but he's making ground. Shield, well done. McDonald, Tipperwoody. He may get a crack here, the man we're talking about. It goes back to Gleeson. Gleeson, good kick to Zirk Thatcher. Now, Haim. Not sure many shots at goal this young fella's had, but he hasn't kicked one. This is his 7th game this season. Played a couple before. I haven't called him have a shot at goal yet. I don't know about you guys.
I know that they really like him down at Essendon, Bruce. They think he's going to be a really good defender for a long time down there.
He's got a good size, hasn't he? So the youngster from Murray Bridge, is it going to come back? Not quite, and it's a behind. But so a long-term prospect, Joe.
Yeah, I think they really like his size, and they think he's going to develop in, along with Ridley, he's going to be a real cornerstone to that back 6 moving forward.
Is it him, Ridley, Redmond, the 3 that they're going to build that around with some runners as well?
Yeah, especially I think Ridley and Redmond and Zirk Thatcher are the guys that they're looking at long-term.
Buse with confidence. Gleeson over the top. Good to see him back out on the ground. Hawkins unselfish before, looking for Jenkins to get his first. Close. Wanted Cam Guthrie. Devon Smith does the roving kick. Not so clean. Neither Mosquito. Buse again takes a couple on. Parrish pushed away. Guthrie clean around his ankles to his younger brother in Zach, who finds Cale Hooker.
Even then, you see some pressure from Essendon further up the ground, and it forces an errant kick and an intercept mark, and that just wasn't there in the first half. It would be pleasing for the coaching staff to at least see some more effort in this closing of space.
A couple of the old boys. Taylor knocked it down to Hawkins, to Stewart. McDonald, Tipperwoody almost off the side of the boot, I think, to Fogarty.
Yeah, it was like it ended up with Fogarty, but again, that's that pressure, Joe, that we were just pleading for in the first half from the Bombers. A little bit of an issue behind play. I'm sure Abby will be onto it in a second. I think it's Mosquito.
Over the top. And out of bounds on the full. Dangerfield, the target. Abs.
Yeah, as you can see there, Irving Mosquito in a world of pain, not in a good way. I need to have another look at the incident. Here we go.
Right around, please.
So, yeah, it doesn't look good. It looks like a knee if I'm having a look at that vision. So, fingers crossed I'm not right there.
Yeah, left knee to me, Joe.
Yeah.
The first quick look at it. Through the middle, Myers. Clever to Menegola. Taylor, 14 seconds to play. Myers again. Well, kick not clean, but still time. Menegola, a final kick at goal. Umpire shuffles. It's straight enough. They get their second of the quarter, 14th of the afternoon. Well, up until that point, the Bombers had actually been leading the quarter, but it amounts to not much. And this, the great disappointment of a really disappointing afternoon.
Yeah, terrible news. And whenever you see someone collapse like that in open field, it's never a good sign. We just fingers crossed for Mosquito that he gets a better outcome. We just have a look at it here, and just that change of direction in plants, and then
straight away, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You think about all the collisions, all the bumps, all the hits, and it can happen so easily, can't it?
Yeah.
He made us all smile, didn't he? He made us all smile. In the Sir Doug Nicholls round, it was a beautiful moment when he ran in and kicked that goal. That second one particularly, and the 2 goals. So now we all feel sad for him, and it doesn't look great, and that's the truth. But let's hope it's not as bad as it looks. So he's got a big future in front of him, the young man, but that's a setback. So Geelong keeping on going. They were held up, but they've done all the damage in the first and second term. So thinking of Irving right now, but it's 88 to 26 at 3/4 time.
My best dad's memory. This one's a little bit quirky. We've got a little girl, but when she was even younger, a little baby, I was feeding her once. I'm very bad at recording these things, but I did record this memory, and it's helped me out a little bit while we've been separated up here in the hub. But I was feeding her as a little baby, and she was falling asleep, and she was struggling to keep her eyes open, and just took one more mouthful before the head went down and fell asleep. So a bit out there maybe, but that's the one that always springs to mind when I think of my little girl.
He's speaking about Layla, his little daughter, Chris Scott. Chris and the Cats are having a happy Father's Day. But game 3 of round 16, don't blink, round 17 starts pretty soon. Thursday night on 7, the Saints trying to win, well, one more we think to get them to that happy place of 10 wins. The Cats and the Tigers are beauty on Friday night. The Giants and the Demons and the Hawks and the Dogs, they're all absolute beauties. Abby, an update on Irving.
Fortunately, some big injury news out of that third term with a serious knee injury to Irving Mosquito. We will just have another look at this vision, immediately clutching at that left knee. I'm hope it wrong. I hope it's not an ACL, but that's what that action looks like. It's devastating. He's such a fantastic young man, a really exciting footballer. I was lucky enough to interview him in his draft year down at the Gippsland Power, and was even luckier to be up in Darwin for his AFL debut just a couple of weeks ago. And as you guys know, everybody just immediately fell in love with that smile and just his energy around the ground. So fingers crossed that's not what it looks like.
Yeah, well summed up, Abby. It is a real disappointment. A gloomy sort of a day for the Bombers, just got a little bit more bleak. 10 goal leaders, 62 points the Cats. Essendon's season is done, pride to play for. The final term on a Sunday afternoon, the Cats 14-4, the Bombers an inaccurate 3-8. Draper to Parrish, ricochets off Guthrie, and then Guthrie left it behind and tried to make amends.
Coming back this way.
You're right, their season might be done, Hayne, but Draper is something to take into next year. So you look for little glimpses and hope he's got an exciting future.
Spent a lot of time in the UK, 6 or so years growing up, and soccer was his main go until about 16. Hawkins looking for another, might just try and give it off, often does. A wait for Dangerfield, not the 15. The ball knocked away, close, clever in the Hawkins direction, but wasn't quite accurate enough. Hooker to Mason Redmond, to Henry, who continues to grow in confidence. Short ball. Speaking about players full of confidence, Cam Guthrie. Over the top, Dangerfield not quite. Ridley. Got a few helpers. Devon Smith drew the man. Merritt. Heppel. Redmond. Symbolic of the Cats' attitude.
It certainly has, and it's not only their ability to close space, but it's the method in which they do it. They're doing it, they know players are going hard at the ball carrier, and then the next Geelong player is going to the receiver. It's well taught, and they're implementing exactly how you should, and that's why the Bombers have been under pressure the entire time, and Geelong are the team that they are. They just do the fundamentals so well.
Guthrie got it to Atkins. Back to Guthrie, to Dalhouse. Close involved, Guthrie. And then Parfitt's kick. It's a bit of a hot spot. Clark should get it out, and he does. Long ball over the top, Taylor with poise. Clever, well, I was going to say clever little kick, but cut off. Stewart, lovely kick to land for goal, you would think. So, not many mistakes for the Cats today.
No, but just taking advantage of a little one there, and Langford, clever enough, as soon as he realised it was a Bombers ball, took off towards the goal square, got goal side of his opponent, and then a nice kick over the top, exactly where you want it once you've got a break on the opposition.
It's been pretty accurate in front of goal. You expect him to kick it. Hasn't been a good day in front of the sticks. It hasn't been a good day, full stop.
Abby?
You guys, just an update on Gary Rowan. I have just received confirmation from the Cats that he will sit out this final term, just as a precaution, a big finals campaign to come for the Cats. So just taking a careful approach with him there.
Thanks, Abby. The Cats looking dangerous again. This time Hawkins weaves through traffic. Dangerfield the target this time. Ridley and Dangerfield.
Come on, go through.
Again, the quick ball movement to a one-on-one, kick to advantage. Jordan Ridley, tough against Paddy Dangerfield. I thought he'd done okay there to get a decent spoil. Just ended up coming over the top.
Yeah.
It's when you're found in that awkward situation, it's just that last little desperate effort to get the spoil in often leads to a free kick.
Dangerfield has a goal for the day, 7 for the year. 5-9 from set shots this year.
Right there. Excellent, good up.
It remains the one tiniest part of his game, and I feel ridiculous saying that because he's so good at everything else, but he's, and Bruce made mention of it before, he's such a nice kick around the field. Such a penetrating kick. Sometimes the set shots just get him.
He hasn't hit the scoreboard this year like he normally does anyway. Hasn't kicked multiple goals this year. He's had some big goal-scoring seasons. But he's having a fine season. Not a Brownlow medal season, you would think, but one that's still going to attract the umpire's attention. Kolodjasny has really been a better vote-getter in the history of the game in terms of games played and votes gained.
And I think Bruce, more importantly for Geelong, he hasn't been called upon to have a Brownlow medal season for them to be the team. They've relied on Guthrie, who just gave that quick hands, and Menegola, and a lot more players through the middle of the ground than just him.
Jenkins to full forward, and speaking of just him, he's there with Ridley. That is a good matchup, those two. It's going to be fascinating. Gleeson's in all sorts here. And we get a stoppage.
Shows it from a Bombers perspective there, Bruce. I mean, Gleeson slips, but he's alone in his back 50, and there's 3 Geelong players swarming him. Needs the help around him.
Dangerfield was down, somehow found the football, came up with it. Redmond under pressure. A hopeful kick. Stewart, the backman, has a look at the goal, and well, Again, just the Cats more desperate for the football.
And the pressure too. That quick kick when you're so deep in your defence to a central position.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it feels like, Job, that it's going to end up in the opposition's hands because the Geelong players would set the wall in that type of position. That kick either needs to get to the boundary or have a lot more on it to get to one of the forwards who's pressed up for the Bombers.
Dual All-Australian backman. Looking for the 4th of his career, first of the year. Never going to happen. Always left.
I think one of the wonderful things about the Geelong side is the way in which they continually develop and find players, and obviously Stephen Wells has been a master recruiter, but the consistency of this team to improve players when they arrive and also to get the most out of them. I mean, it's a testament to the coaching staff and obviously Chris Scott, who sits atop that, and his willingness to hand off to the assistant coaches and let them develop the players.
So Smith running it to Hurley, back to Smith. Great work by Stewart to put the pressure on, and probably worked and putting extra pressure there, and they didn't turn it over in the end, but Blitzards misses one you'd expect him to get, and Schultz misses one that probably should have got. He hit the scoreboard in the 3rd quarter, and Geelong...
Actually, reset that. You can't run through the protected area and receive it.
So a second go for Henderson, with Duncan just infringing back, no damage done. Ticking all the boxes. 75 points, you mentioned, Hayne, the biggest winning margin of the year. That was Power v Crows.
Yep. Biggest margin, full stop, or biggest tally, full stop, 119 North Melbourne versus the Crows. So they've slowed since half-time. The Cats 6 in the opening 2 terms. Jenkins, he was the target, just missed him. It's going back to Henderson, delisted at the end of last year, and then Ryan Abbott moved to St Kilda. That rookie spot opened up, and suddenly, who knows how 2020 plays out for Lockie Henderson.
And the reason he got the opportunity, apart from what he offers on the field, is he's such a good club person and a teammate. Really professional, loved around the group, and you give those players second chances as much as you can.
And there he is with the ball. Dalhouse, Stewart to Duncan. Time to gather after a little fumble, and then that little lob wedge that Harry Taylor uses so often over the top to Myers. To Buse, between the two of them, they've had a nice day in front of goals. Defensive 50 at the moment, now to Kolodjasny. Cats in no rush. Henderson to Taylor. They often do this.
Yeah.
Their tempo, turn it to whatever volume they like.
And this is why I think they're such a dangerous team come finals time, is because their ability to be adaptable and their flexibility, and they're quite happy to go into this style of game and control tempo, and tempo is so important in finals.
Good spoil by Redmond. Menegola twists and turns. Atkins brought it back to Redmond. Good work, Parford. Parrish hunting the footy. Buse.
Holding the ball. Essendon.
Clark wins a free kick. They'd love that bus trip again, that 3.5 hour bus trip. You turn the volume up a bit more. Saad, so little the ball today, Saad. High ball in. Gee, Townsend maybe a little stiff. Back Guelph he goes. Hit ball, looking good. And just doing too much. Has Jenkins and Zach Guthrie done enough? They were the late inclusions today. Have they done enough?
They've done enough to show that when called upon, they can play a role, Bruce. I think if Reece Stanley's fit next week, he comes in for Jenkins, and Zach Tui comes back in for Zach Guthrie. But the coaching group for the Cats, I think, would walk away from this one saying, well, if we get a couple of injuries, and we need to, we could pretty comfortably go to both or either of those guys.
So that was, there's Guthrie. So saw Jenkins' stats a moment ago. And Guthrie's been handy, hasn't he? So good call, Liggy.
Jenkins. Little handball over the top to Guthrie. Langford having a good year, Langford. Continues to improve. Fogarty He'll be keen to just lock down a spot in this team that's headed towards October action. And now Duncan just tries to get rid of Ridley, but ran out of room before the tackle came.
One of the most important players, I think, for Geelong into the finals is going to be Blitzarves, because he's his flexibility. He can play on the wing, he can play in the ruck, he can play as a key defender. He just offers so much scope for them to be able to change the way they play, and they're going to face different types of matchups and different types of teams in this final series. And
the long ball from Blitzarves on the left. It's an enormous ball. He kicked the first of the game, and he's kicked an absolute gem.
Great use of the body, and on the left foot. I don't think the intention was to kick the goal, but he'll take it.
Just kept on travelling, didn't it?
Beautiful kick. When things are working,
yeah,
they do go your way. But you're right, the point you make, Job, is a really good one about Mark Blitzarves. His importance. If a key forward happens to get away, a Josh Kennedy or a Tom Lynch from Harry Taylor or Lockie Henderson, Chris Scott can always pull that lever of either getting back to support those guys or actually play him down there at fullback.
Stunning effort. Parfitt to Guthrie, charging towards goal. Going to be close. Hawkins has got it. And plays on and kicks his fourth for the afternoon.
Well, Tom Hawkins is clearly going to take out the All-Australian full forward spot, and it's not just his goal-kicking ability, but his ability to be able to contribute from a goals assist, and he's so good at setting up other players, and I think that his form has been such a huge part of this Geelong season, and he's been incredibly impressive as a 32-year-old key forward. You just don't see them come back with this type of form at this age.
Well, 3 times he's outscored the opposition in terms of goals. Fremantle, St Kilda and Port. He's got 4. Essendon have got 3. Menegola took it cleanly. He's got an ability to kick the ball long, close. Front spot against Zirk Thatcher. Dalhouse wants it from Parfitt. Might get it from Atkins. Over the top, Zach Guthrie had to wait. He knew what was coming. Sard was right there.
And I reckon Tom Hawkins would have been the happiest man in Australia when Geelong, call it round 5 or 6, just shifted into a faster ball use style where they can still go back to that tempo when they need to, but it's not their first priority. They want to go quicker and get it in there, and he's loving it in one-on-ones.
Holding, Essendon, play on.
Townsend wanted Langford. Well, Langford looked up and saw Parfitt and Taylor just waiting. So Rowan done for the day. Mosquito, the real disappointment for Essendon fans. His left knee is his problem. We haven't heard how bad, but was in a lot of pain. So Bruce, biggest tally of the year, 119 North Melbourne. They're 102, and that margin that Port beat the Crows by within touching distance.
73 to 75, so the Cats with another goal to get home. Let's see if the Bombers can thwart that. Guthrie's careful kick. Some tired players out there. Draper cuts it off. So Essendon out of the running. Coming into today, they'd been struggling. They'd only won one of their last 7, a draw in the middle. It'd been falling apart for them. And today they've been exposed. The underbelly shown up. Their progression next season will be fascinating. Whether this is the group that will take them forward. We know there'll be a new senior coach. He's doing the job probably now with all the goodwill from John Worsfold, but a lot to think about for the Bombers. It's been a long time with a very difficult period of the club that they've sort of come through and gone past, but they haven't been able to do it on the field for long enough to make them feel better. Langford's got it. And a lovely, lovely looking kick, and Redmond sort of cut it off. It may have been for one of those leading forwards, but he takes the mark.
And the challenge for this Essendon group going forward, Bruce, for next year, and there's Irving Mosquito on the bench with the left knee brace on. So it was been a bad day for the Bombers, and it just got worse. We saw an exciting young player go down and hurt himself. terrible news.
It's a beautiful face, isn't it? Young Mosquito's only kicked the 1 goal, Redman. Now he's got a second.
You're exactly right, Bruce, and we just see here, I feel when I watch the Bombers play now that the style in which they play is so important. When they're ferocious and there's tackling pressure and they're turning the ball over, that's when I know that they're on and they're playing well. And then you see the ball movement out of their half-back line. It's fast and it's direct. It's when they go slow and they try and play a possession game, I think that they get lost.
Collingwood, they were terrific.
Yeah. Margin 67. The Bombers find a way to find their 4th and perhaps a 5th coming up. Langford just gets boot to ball, misses the target. On the bounce, Townsend. Again to a dangerous spot. Well, Taylor. First the man, then to the ball. Hurley disappointed.
I think Michael Hurley's got a point there.
Yeah.
It was a show of strength by Harry Taylor, but I don't think you can do this in a marking contest, or...
Well, he was just caught up with the feet.
Yeah, but to the naked eye, it looked like he just threw him out of the way.
Draper and Jenkins, Guelphy. Little kick to space, O'Connor. Had a safe, reliable pair of hands to his right, used Taylor. Henderson clever, slapped it down the line to Menegola. Looks inside, Merritt tries to close him down. Menegola still gets the kick away. Sard intercepts, got a little fist involved, then through the legs of Menegola. Merritt over the top to Clark, now to Sard. Short ball, too short. Not much good at all, and Taylor gets given a gift. The Cats through Jenkins now, look for another option on the left. Fogarty runs into Langford, tries to get out of trouble. McDonald, Tippenwoody to Langford. Is that 15? Doesn't matter much. Wasn't taken. Guelphy can try and finish outside of the boot. Bounce all important. Taylor. Townsend picks up, gets up, kicks the goal. A little glimmer of hope late. Back-to-back goals for the Bombers.
Josh Jenkins, we've talked about, he'd like that kickback. Just like that kickback.
He would, Bruce. Yeah, just a skill error, and they were out the Cats instead. Well fought out here by the Bombers. Townsend, you know what you're going to get from Townsend every time he takes the field. It's desperation, hardness, always wanting to do his absolute best. At times he might not quite have the polish of some players, mind you. I do recall a final series where his goal kicking was pretty superb. Always gives his all.
A lot to admire about him. Menegola. Don't think anyone's been any better than Menegola today.
Again, Bruce, you're right.
Fantastic season, hasn't he, Lingy?
30 disposals, 8 clearances, and a couple of goals.
So Ridley just measures it out towards McDonald, Tippenwoody. Stewart had the height advantage, played it well, Stewart, to Fogarty. Fogarty, one of the ins today, but that was before we got here. And there's a beautiful one-on-one that... Go back and have a shot, Paddy. Practice. You might have to win the grand final with a set shot from 40. He kicked a beauty earlier today. It just felt right, that earlier goal that he kicked.
Played a lot more down forward, and it's been nice to see Menegola take up the reins, and we know how good he's been this year, but it just gives that flexibility that Lingy talked about, and that's where the real improvement of this Geelong side has come from, is that not having that reliance on their superstars.
Hasn't kicked multiple goals this season. He's a prolific goal scorer for a big midfielder. He struck it well. Importantly, he's kicked 2 set shots today.
And having Stewart back in the team as well, and his ability to win a one-on-one and just get it forward, and then Danger, just beautiful forward craft. And he was a forward when he first arrived in the AFL scene, and he hasn't forgotten how to play as a forward, and he's such a bad, you just wouldn't want to draw the short straw and become the matchup to him.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's built like a centre forward.
Yeah.
And yet he can run, move, and power of incredible midfielder.
And as Bruce said, maybe a grand final this year. And if he does get there, it'll be his first grand final of any kind. Shield. Penetrating ball. Chance for Stewart. Henderson. McDonald, Tippenwoody. Just lurking about the place. But look at those hoop jumpers. Lots of them already set up.
It's been pinged for dragging it in here.
Jack Henry.
Yeah, he was on the ground.
Move away, please. 10 metres.
Brought it in. And as we know, if you bring it in, it's your responsibility to get it out, even if it's held to you.
So it won't be the biggest win of the year. They won't get to the biggest tally of the year, but it was all set up in the first and second quarters. 30 points at quarter time, 59 at the long break, and Essendon looking for half a dozen. Langford to the near side.
They beat St Kilda at the Gabba by 59. They beat North by over 5 goals at the Gabba, and this is their 3rd game at the Gabba this year. We know where the grand final is going to be played. Has to help these out of Brisbane teams.
And you would assume, Bruce, if they do get the chance to play in inverted commas, home final, they would choose the Gabba.
Yeah.
So they were impressive today. It happened so quickly. Geelong keep on marching on. They win their 6th consecutive match, and the Bombers, well, they're done and dusted in 2020.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dawn, down at Cardinia Park.
Nice to see Mitch Duncan go over to Irving Mosquito. Let's go to Tommy Hawkins, Abs.
Tom, congratulations. A really dominant display by your boys. But what's the most pleasing component for you with such a dominant win here today?
First half was outstanding. There was a little lapse in the second quarter for probably 5 or 6 minutes where we probably didn't play as a collective. Probably would have liked to finish the game off a little bit better than maybe we perhaps did, but we understand Essendon are a dangerous side, and when the game's on their terms, they're really as good as anyone in the comp at moving the footy, and we saw that a couple of weeks against Hawthorn, so we need to be play our best footy, but it's pleasing.
And you and your wife, Emma, share 2 beautiful daughters. Arabella gave you some advice pre-game today. Nothing like a little bit of added inspiration for Father's Day?
Yeah, no, she's very good. Sorry, I should say they're very good. My girls are very good at supporting. I don't know if they'll be up. They're probably in bed. Oh, no, they'll be well and truly up. Yeah, I had a good morning this morning, albeit away from home, but got a couple of nice gifts and some nice cards. So it was nice to spend Father's Day with the family. Missing my dad, so Dad, if you're watching, happy Father's Day. To my grandpa, Fred, as well. So yeah, it was a great day.
Well, congratulations. A really impressive win by your boys. Go and enjoy it, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, thanks very much.
Good work.
Good work.
Very good footballer, very nice man. 39 for the year. He's on track to win the Coleman medal. Jack and Fred get a shout out as we have a look at the best stuff.
Just had a moment there. He wasn't feeling 100%, but everything else going well. Myers kicks to that centre-half forward spot. O'Connor, Zach Guthrie, and then close again. Loving his handball to Hughes. It's another one. It's another one.
Protected the space well that he wanted to lead into. Dixon timed it beautifully. 6 goals in round 4 versus West Coast. 4 last week versus Sydney. Good looking kick.
Oh, he loves it, Charlie.
He sits it up. Can McAdam get the jump here? Got up. You bet he can. Up and at him. McAdam.
Shepherd got first touch. Into Mosquito. Into the pocket. Oh, what That's for Moore to take on the loose. Goes in after it again. Oh, opportunity for Moore, which he should take all the way. Runs in and kicks the goal for the Hawks.
Back in his team, Hawley on the left. Bombs it long, rebound with the sit and he flies. He used Akers as a step ladder.
Hall got his hands clear. Home on. Starting to own this part of the ground. High ball for Dixon. Good fist from Mackay. Through came Wines again. There's another one.
Oliver knocks it down. Spargo gets it back. Brayshaw puts it back to a good spot. Wynn caught it, and it's taken it all the way home. Just what they needed.
Sitting out the back was Ash. There is the man you spoke about, Richo Whitfield. Going to be run down. Magnificent ball.
That is brilliant.
They're about to sink it for the first time in 2020. Matthew Nixon in the middle.
Love it.
Yes. What a beautiful moment. What a beautiful moment.
Set first hand on the ball. He's done that a lot tonight, Scotty Lysette. Went out of Hackett forward. Motlop cleared a path. Robbie Gray, look at this. Travis Boak, goal coming up. As easy as it gets for Port Adelaide. Back inside, Hopper demanding the footy by way of hands there. Didn't get it. Kennedy does. Trying to run him down. Noons and got him. Came from a long way back.
Marsh for the pocket. Day. Marsh got through. Desperate times for the Saints. Desperate measures. Hill over the top. One more. All the way home with Paddy Ryder.
Heppel working backwards. Oh, Redmond just lost his way completely. Myers has already done this once today. Now he's done it twice. Same kick, same result. Well, they put on a masterclass against that team today. So on Thursday night, it's the Saints and the Eagles and Haim. I'm not going to need a wake-up call Friday morning. I cannot wait for Friday night.
The Cats and the Tigers, Job and Lingy, who have you got?
After tonight's performance, I think Geelong.
Do you need to ask me, Hamish?
No, that's a good point. Well, Chris Scott, his record continues to improve. The Cats, they find their 11th win of the year. They're in good shape. Gary Rowan, a little question mark. He didn't play the last part of the game, but Richmond await the Cats on Friday night, and then the Swans to finish their home and away season. 17-6, a dozen goals in the first half to 5-12. The Bombers, they're done, but the Cats, 66-point winners. Hope you enjoyed the footy. All starts again on Thursday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe.
Just wait a minute, well, I kinda fell apart. Things get so crazy, crazy.